Hey, everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios and brought to you by our official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's The Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. He's backed by popular demand. He's been with us since 2019 during the early days, and he's going to do it in another way himself. We'll talk about that. He's been into the Light Volume 1, and he'll go into a Volume 2 of that. And also had American Refugee, Empires, Singers, Stacy, and everything else. He's a singer-songwriter from Atlanta, Georgia, played Whiskey A Go-Go, The Viper Room. Also, his group share the stage with Chris Knight, Graham Colton, the band Camino, also Jake Clemens of the E Street Band. And of course, we have a new single we'll talk about, Sister Hemlock, and a lot more. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, or somewhere in the Southeast as well, the amazing multi-talented leader of Faithless Town, Gene Owens. Gene, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be returning for what is, I think, the fourth time. And the first time we're seeing each other face to face on this new format. So I'm happy to be here.
And of course, we know what you're like as well, too. A nice Plus Studios, what you got and everything. And I think I see all your posters behind you as well. And maybe we can talk about some of the artwork. But most importantly, we'll be talking about your latest release, Into the Light Volume 2. We'll be talking about Sister Hemlock. We'll be playing at the end of the audio interview. We talked about Into the Light Volume 1. We talked about American Refugee, Empires, and more. And, give us an update on what we talked about last time, especially Into the Light Volume 1. You've been pretty busy lately.
Yeah, so I had this concept to do this full-length album, but kind of break it up into side A and side B. Like the old school LPs, you would have like side A would be a lot of times the more rocking kind of full band amped up songs, and then side 2 could be a little bit more mellow and more introspective. And that's how I envisioned this this full-length record. And I broke it up into 2 EPs because now everything's in the digital age. Mm-hmm. Right. We have everything just for the most part, people stream things or do digital downloads. And very few people get physical albums anymore. So I thought, it'd be more cost effective to kind of break that up into 2 different releases. So last year we released Faithless Town, Into the Light Volume 1. And it was a collection of 7 kind of very amped up rock songs, full of some protest songs that were kind of speaking out against the things that we were seeing in the world, right, with lockdowns and mandates, and kind of looking out to the world and saying what is going on, and a lot of this doesn't seem right, and writing some kind of rock anthems, some protest music against some of those measures. Whereas side 2 was more of like my introspective songs, talking about marrying my wife finally, starting to build a family together. The kind of softer, more introspective side. And then we compiled both onto this limited edition CD. So Volume 1 is here and Volume 2 is here, and it's all on this nifty little disc.
You want to go ahead and bring it up closer for our viewers as well?
Absolutely. I don't know if you can. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's beauty. And then open it up.
And Volume 2 and all that beautiful stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
So that's the whole concept. I'm still a sucker for physical media. I feel like you can have all these songs on your in your cloud and on iTunes, and then your internet goes down, or you lose power, or you lose your cloud password, and you lose this whole library.
Or you get internet hackers that decide to hack in and steal. Or put in like viruses and all that.
Right. But if you have things on physical media, whether that's physical books, records, CDs, as long as you have some power source, you can play it in some, obviously like a stereo. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of investing in physical media. It's the thing that you can have with you when all else fails.
Mm-hmm. And certainly did as well, too. And of course, we did talk about Into the Light Volume 1. You also had American Refugee, Empires, and, how are those coming so far?
Yeah, so we released Empires. I'm looking because I have a wall of like framed, like every time we've done an album, we've gotten this kind of like, framed plaque from the mastering studio of the year it was released. So I think we did American Refugee in 2012. We did Empires in 2016. And then we did a re-release of Empires in 2020 on Spectra Records. And I think that's where you and I first met. So Spectra really liked that record and wanted to relaunch it with their label backing behind it. And we were really pumped for the new opportunities that were going to come. And we released it February 28th, I think, of 2020. And then 2 weeks later, the world was shut down, and we were living through a weird dystopian nightmare. So it didn't quite do the thing that we were hoping it would do because of the external factors we were dealing with. But yeah, that's how it's been. Empires has a song called New World Order that is still doing really well on Spotify, and that's become probably one of our most listened to, most streamed songs. You know, it's the song like we'll play a show and somebody will know all the words, which is just a cool feeling when you're an independent artist and, you know, your song's not everywhere on the radio and you see somebody in the front row singing along and they know all the words to your song. And that song has like 4 verses. So it's impressive that somebody memorized all of them.
It seems to be a rare trait these days to remember all 4 verses.
It is. I mean, just whenever you can create something and it organically reaches somebody and they connect with it and resonates with them, and it's a beautiful thing.
And certainly as well too. And of course, you also had Tears Rolling Down. That is the most popular as well too. And you know, of course, we did talk about New World Order, Bride, and also Do Not Comply. And of course, I looked on Spotify. Tears Rolling Down has been your big one as well.
Yeah, that song is it was about losing somebody that was very close to me. So it's kind of dealing with that personal loss and I wrote that song as just a way, like a catharsis to kind of cope with the grief of losing somebody that was very close to me. And the recording turned out really beautiful. My friend Jude Roberts, who's an incredibly talented songwriter and singer in his own right, who's based out of upstate New York, he was passing through town playing with a band that he tours with from time to time called the Dust Bowl Fairies. They were playing in Atlanta, and he was just able to come into the studio that weekend and lay down these beautiful harmonies. He has like a pitch perfect voice, and he was able to nail these really intricate, multi-layered harmonies on that track. And then our former guitar player, Aaron, you know, he's still alive. He's just not with the band anymore. We left for personal reasons so he could embark on another journey. But he just played some amazing kind of like classic guitar inspired riffs. And it gives it really kind of like this Milk Carton Kids, Iron and Wine, Simon and Garfunkel vibe when you put it all together. And I'm really happy with how that track turned out.
And certainly did as well too. Of course, going into the volume 2, we'll talk about some of the releases like Stacy, Shelter, Bride, and also we'll be playing Sister Hemlock from Gene Owens of Faithless in just 1 minute. But first, you listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first product. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor, the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has gotten great reviews. An Evil of endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forge Riley, and Menails. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. And check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on our 40 podcast platforms. Heard in 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, also Apple Music, Odyssey, BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, Pandora, Buzzsprout, Podbean as well. And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and more. Make sure you take us with you on any mobile device. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas like missing, wants, and wrinkles, check out the T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson Zia. Check it out today and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. You hear the amazing singer-songwriter from Faithless Town, Gene Owens, here on the Mike Wagner Show. And we talked about Into the Light Volume 1, American Refugees, Empires, and just giving an up-to-date speed to what's going on. You've been with me since 2019, being on the first show and the first time face-to-face. And, a little bit more about Into the Light Volume 2. You have Bride, Stacy, Shelter, and what we'll be playing later is Sister Hemlock at the end of the audio interview. And, tell us more about those songs and what inspired you to write them.
Sure. Yeah. Like I was saying, is Volume 2 is a batch of very introspective, personal songs, and they are more sparsely arranged, especially in the case of Stacy and Tears Rolling Down, where it's just a voice and a guitar, or a couple voices and a couple guitars. And then, we have Shelter, which is kind of an arrangement style. It's like my ode to late 60s, early 70s, like Stones and roots rock. We have these amazing soulful background vocals provided by Jade McRae, who is just an incredible Australian-born soul singer who put these just like beautiful, like Gimme Shelter kind of Stones-esque background vocals on the track. Bride took on this, was my collaboration with the folk duo Winsome Kind up in Canada, and the female counterpart of that group, Leora Joy Perry, she sang beautiful harmonies and kind of a solo on that song. And I kind of wrote that song as an ode to my wife, and as I was getting ready to propose to her. And my wife, she loves to sing in the car, but she's self-admittedly not a great singer, she'll tell you.
Well,
so
she can be very helpful, I'll tell you that. I mean, got free talent for you, so don't count that out yet.
I mean, she's loving and supportive in so many ways, but she definitely didn't want to sing on it. She was shy to sing on it. So I had to find somebody to kind of be her voice on that track. And so I connected with Winsome Kind up in Canada, and Leora from that group sang this beautiful part that's kind of acts like is the voice of my wife in that song, and the female voice. And then we recorded a video remotely where her and her husband shot footage of her on this beautiful island off the coast of Western Canada. And I shot things in the woods out by Athens, Georgia. And then we kind of put them together, and you can see that video, Bride, on our YouTube channel, Faithless Town's YouTube channel. And that song is just a very joyous, heartfelt celebration of marriage and union and love. And I'm very proud of that. It's a really positive, uplifting note of the record.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Sister Hemlock is the one we're featuring as well, too. And tell us about that one.
So Sister Hemlock started as an acoustic track, and it's kind of like it just explores the themes of kind of nature and freedom and defiance to tyranny, and kind of setting off in your own path, finding your own way in the world, and not living in fear. And it started off as just me and an acoustic guitar, and then we ended up doing this whole kind of like art rock arrangement that made it kind of like Wilco-esque in the studio, and with bass and drums, and we put a Moog synthesizer on it, and then we've also just recently released this acoustic version. So I'm not sure what version you're going to play, but
it's whatever cool. You've given me. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Then it's probably the newest acoustic version, which I like, because it brings it back to like the roots of how that song originated. So It's just me. I think I play every instrument on what you'll hear. It's just me playing a 6-string acoustic, a 12-string acoustic, doing this arpeggiated thing. And then there's a talented musician by the name of Tom Bedlam who provides the background vocals on it. And it's got this weird kind of like folk prog thing going on. It's a weird song, but I'm really I dig it, and I hope other people will like it too.
And certainly did. And where can we find Into the Light and all your music at, Gene?
The best place is probably faithlesstown.com. That's where you can get one of those fancy limited edition CDs. We only made 100, and we only have a few left. But so if you want to get one, that's the place to do it. We're on Spotify. We are on all the streaming platforms, Pandora, iTunes, Apple Music. But if you want to support us, the best way is to go to Faithless Town, buy the physical album, or at least buy that record on iTunes, like digitally download it, pay for it, because we don't have a label. We're all independent now. So whatever money you spend comes to us after, iTunes takes their cut.
And certainly indeed as well too. And we're at Gene Owens of Faithless Town here on the Mike Wagner Show. What else can we expect from you in 2023 and beyond?
Well, Mike, I just launched a new podcast.
Woo, congratulations.
Thank you. You've inspired me after seeing you do this so well for multiple seasons. I can't do my reads. Fortunately, we don't have any sponsors yet, but I'm getting ready, because when we do, I want to do reads as good as you, as eloquent and as fast and clear.
The thing is, take your time. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. I mean, my career was not built in a day. And of course, I'd be happy to get on a podcast. Everybody thinks you have an air check, you do an audition, you get the job in morning show. It does not work. I mean, it takes time to build a podcast. So of course, tell us more about your podcast and what's it about, and reach and everything. So I'd like to hear more about what do we call it? The Gene Owens podcast or something, or what we're gonna call it?
Well, it's called Live Free with Gene Owens, and we've released one episode, or I've released one episode so far, and it's basically a show that explores the insane time that we find ourselves in, this weird digital age where you don't know what's true. There's so much polarization and division, and it tries to make sense of the world we find ourselves in through conversations with artists and comedians and fellow musicians and other unique personalities. So the first episode launched last month, and our first guest was Ben Mitchell, who is a fantastic Australian singer-songwriter. He also was the founder of an organization called Free the Nation Music, which was an organization that started during some of the most severe lockdowns that the world saw in Australia, when everything was shut down and it was like illegal to have a concert. This group of Ben launched this organization that said, we're going to keep playing shows, and we're not going to discriminate against anybody, regardless of the color of their skin, their sex, their faith, or the personal medical decisions. And we're not going to ask anybody for proof of anything to come to a show. All are welcome. And it's an organization of musicians united in support of personal choice and freedom. And my band is part of that organization. Members of In Excess, Jimmy Levy, 5 Times August, Joseph Arthur. I think maybe Eric Clapton has joined the ranks now. But really? It was a really interesting conversation.
Eric Clapton's going to appear. I thought he retired because of his hand condition. I thought he retired. Or is he going to make like maybe an appearance or two?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I think he joined this kind of like coalition of artists that were against any kind of medical segregation of shows. And what that organization is all about, Free the Nation Music. And its founder, Ben Mitchell. And so that was the first episode of my podcast, was kind of exploring, talking to Ben about what inspired him to start that organization. What was that like? What was life like during the darkest days of 2020 and 2021 in Australia, where they literally had like military checkpoints set up, and you couldn't go more than so many kilometers from your home, and you needed like papers to basically explain, like, I'm going to see my father because he's dying, or you weren't like. The military was literally stopping you on the highway and preventing you from leaving your neighborhood. So we got into that, and I played one of his songs. So that's something I want to do, is like, I want to host other musicians, talk about what inspires us, talk about what they're doing, play their music, and just try to lift up other, voices in the artistic community. Because I think there's a lot of people out there making great art. And then unfortunately, I don't see a lot of them getting the amplification and the boosting that you see other kind of big corporate acts get, because they just don't have the money and the resources pushing them out.
Mm-hmm. There's something that just kind of made a point as well too, that I've talked to people and they're frustrated with the current system. The great music out there, but all these big artists aren't willing to big companies aren't willing to listen to artists. And there's also has-beens that have been around. You got your classic bands, 60s, 70s, and 80s, even the classic singers, and come back, make brand new music. But these corporates, like, we're gonna keep playing your old music, your new music is irrelevant. I think that frustrates more than anybody else.
I mean, it's incredibly frustrating. I know there's plenty of bands. I mean, I guess they're classic rock acts now. Bands from the 90s now are considered, I guess, classic rock to the Zoomer generation, the Zillennials.
Mm-hmm.
But the same, yes, I know there's bands that are putting out consistently are putting out great albums, and the only thing gets played are their hits from the 90s or the early 2000s.
Or so like the number one hit, top 10, like all time and everything gets tiring after a while.
It really does. Yeah, it is a weird world. I think streaming has really changed the environment tremendously, because it's just hard to make any money even with millions of streams. I will, we didn't hit millions of streams, but we hit, tens of thousands of streams with Volume 2, which we put out this last April. And you're just, when you look at the breakdown of how much money you make, it's shocking. It's like I make the same amount from selling a t-shirt that I do from getting 13,000 streams of a song.
And that's enough to buy a t-shirt, huh?
and we only sell our t-shirts for like $20-$25, so we're not charging $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does speak volumes to artists definitely not getting their fair share from the streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the CEO of Spotify is making millions of dollars, while most artists are getting seventh of a cent on each stream.
Mm-hmm. It's just like the ones who run Netflix, YouTube, and Freevee and everything like that. And of course, Fox streaming and CBS streaming and all that. That's been a big issue with that. That SAG-AFTRA strike as well. It's like these corporates are making the billions, and then the actors and actors and writers and all that, they're just getting like a tiny piece of pie, and they're crying about it. So it's not just happening to musicians, but it's happening to like all across the entertainment spectrum, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to realize, and just not that like it's like woe is me, we're all like starving artists, blah blah blah. But it's more like if you like an artist, buy their music. It's not like, it is helping people. It is helping to support them to continue to make art, because we don't live in the world of 1970s, Led Zeppelin, where so just because somebody's on Spotify or somebody, even gets millions of streams, they're not buying their own private jet. Mm-hmm. And they're not living large. They're probably working some day job to make ends meet. And plus we all know with inflation, the dollar doesn't go as far as it goes, and all that is still the crunch that everyone's feeling. But there's plenty of amazing artists out there making great work. And so, yeah, I want to highlight that and showcase that on my podcast, the same way that you're doing a very similar thing, helping to lift up independent artists with your show.
Mm-hmm. And where can we find your podcast at, Gene?
You should be able to find Live Free with Gene Owens on all podcast platforms. I'm pretty sure it's on Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find it.
We'll certainly do that as well. We'll make sure everybody listening to your podcast. We're here with Gene Owens of Faithless Town from Into the Light Volume 2 here on the Mike Wagner Show. And Gene, just a final thing, and besides the podcast, what else can we expect to me in 2023 and beyond?
Well, we're working on a new single and a new music video, and it's going to make a lot of waves, Mike. So I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I think when the new video hits, it's going to be a controversial statement. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm at liberty to say about it right now. But I think it's kind of like a sonic bomb, and it's going to make some waves. It might tick some people off. It might make some people happy. But I think it's going to be one of those things that you won't just have a bland reaction to it. It will force a reaction from you one way or another.
And we'll have you back on as well too, and have yourself protected at all times as well. Guard dogs, guns, guards, you name it. So just come armored this time on everything. So we'll do that.
I'm broadcasting from my bunker right now. We're good.
There you go. That's a great place to do it. We're here with Gene Owens of Faithless Town here on the Mike Wagner Show. Gene, a very big thank you for your time as always, and absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Just keep us up to date and always keep in touch. And once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase, check out your music and your podcast?
You can find me at faithlesstown.com. That's the place for all my music. At Faithless Town on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. The new podcast is Live Free with Gene Owens. Listen to that wherever you listen to your podcast. Watch the video version on Rumble. And Mike, as always, thank you for having me. You're doing great work. You're tireless, and keep it up and live free, brother.
Yes, definitely. And you as well, Gene. Looking forward to having soon. Always keep this up to date. Keep in touch. And definitely have you back. You're first on my list, Gene, and a great future to have you too, and all the best.
Thank you.